This video is going to be a little different today. First of all, I do not have a body. I am trapped inside of an app. Scales really harness the power of intervals, and so there's something I wanted to explain in this series, and I already made this lesson in my app, and here's a chance for shameless self-promotion. First thing you have to understand, there's only 12 notes. They repeat after 12. So these are the notes in order. You can go down your guitar one fret at a time, and that's what you'll hear. Those labels are arbitrary. They're made up by some old dudes in Europe. They don't mean anything inherently. They're just letters that we attached. This is probably where you're more familiar with the notes in this piano-like layout, and it's still just a line of notes. The black keys aren't special, that's just how piano organizes them. Since the labels don't mean anything, let's replace all the labels with intervals, the distance to the root. So this is your root, this is the key, the 1. And from the root we have a minor 2 and a major 2. We have a minor 3 and a major 3. We have a 4. 4 is perfect. 4 doesn't need a minor or a major. We have a flat 5, but it's kind of its own note. It's not really a 5. It's called the tritone. It's called the blue note. It's this extra spicy note that kind of exists on its own. We have a 5. A 5 is also referred to as perfect, since it's not typically thought of as minor and major. Minor 6, 6. Minor 7, 7. And back to our 1. And so this looks like a lot, but it's actually pretty simple. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And all of those have a minor and a major version, except for the 1, 4, and 5, which we refer to as perfect intervals. So what's cool about intervals is we have a completely different root now, but the distances between all the notes is the same. The intervals are exactly the same because the distance is the same. All we did is shift the entire thing up or down. This is what's really powerful about intervals, is it lets you see through the illusion of music. There aren't 12 keys. That's not how humans experience music. There's one set of intervals, there is a scale, there is a palette of colors, and we can shift around that palette of colors to meet our musical needs, but the underlying pattern is still the same. So what is a scale? A scale is just choosing one of the 1s, one of the 2s, one of the 3s, one of the 4s. You just choose something from each column. So for example, in the major scale, we choose all the major varieties. You choose a 1, major 2, major 3, 4, there's only one 4, major 5, 5, major 6, major 7, and 1. Major scale, beautiful. Now to make the minor scale, 1. We still choose the major 2 because the minor 2 is a little bit spicy. Minor 3, 4, 5, because the tritone's a little too spicy. Minor 6, minor 7, 1. And what's cool is you can make all of the fancy scales and all of the fancy modes just from this formula, choosing one of the 1s, choosing one of the 2s, choosing one of the 3s. So for example, Phrygian is kind of like the minor scale, but it's even more minor. It's like super minor. It's used a lot in flamenco and other Spanish type things. Metal people like it because it has that dissonant 2 in it. So you choose the 1, minor 2, minor 3, 4, 5, minor 6, minor 7, 1. Boom. Just choose all the minors except for the 1, 4, 5. And you can do this for basically any scale that you're going to encounter until you're like some super jazz expert, in which case you'll transcend from the need for scales. All notes are in key. And then the fun part is trying to see this on guitar. And this is where just drilling things over and over and over helps. If you found this confusing, go back to my previous videos. There's 2 resources I'd like to recommend if you want to dig deeper on your own. The first is this awesome book called Improvise for Real, IFR. And the second is this app I made. This is called Earworm. You can get it down below. I built it as a practice tool for myself to gain familiarity with these intervals, and I hope that it is useful for you as well. That's a wrap. See you next week.